to the SupaTeaPodcast Show. I know podcasting has evolved to this visually aesthetic, amazing platform, right? However, can we take it a bit back a little bit? Can we take it back when podcasting was very similar just to radio? Now, I know that I should be keeping up with the times. However, with radio, what I love about radio, and I haven't really listened to radio because I've been utilizing these modern day um, things that we have now, telephones, tablets, computer. However, with a radio, was so cool. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Delilah. Delilah. I always wanted to do something similar to what Delilah does with her broadcasting, and I'm sure that I am, and perhaps it'll be this podcast show. But Delilah does her show from the comfort of her home. Now, yes, she has all of the gadgets, gizmos, and things of that sort, but literally, Delilah does not have to have hair done, makeup done. She doesn't have to have a stylist. She doesn't have to have any of that stuff to work. Like, she literally works from the comfort of her home, does live life on her own accord, And I just think that that's fantastic. I think it's fantastic. And that's what we're going to do today. So I'm not going to do my hair. I'm not going to do my makeup. I'm not even going to show you my face today. You're just going to hear my voice. And I'm going to pray that nobody calls me during this. Matter of fact, I'm going to go and I'm going to put on my do not disturb right now because I am expecting a call at 9 after 9. All right. Okay. Here I am. So, and I'm utilizing my phone. The phone makes life a whole lot convenient. Although I like gadgets, gizmos. So I probably, once I am really, really rooted, will have all of that fun equipment. Excuse me, to tinker with. So you're not gonna get no background music today. Not gonna get a huge intro outside of what I initially gave you. Welcome to the Super T Podcast Show, because I have some releasing to do, and I think this is releasing that is not only beneficial for me, because that is um, always my intention when I'm sharing intimate thoughts of mine and my perspectives is to benefit me, of course, with sharing, but also provide a win-win situation where my sharing is something that inspires somebody else or offers insights into their own personal experiences. So, just had to put that disclaimer out there. It cannot be weaponized. Anything I share on here cannot. It's impossible because it's coming from a space of love, and it's coming from a space of good intention, and it's mine, and it it just it's that solid, it's just really that solid. So it cannot be manipulated by an outside force. I'm the only person that can utilize this information, and anybody else who utilizes it can only utilize it for good, because that's all that it's for. It can't be changed into anything else, alchemized into anything else, because again, I'm the authoritative with my information, and even though I'm putting it out here publicly, it ain't gonna work. So don't try it. And I say that because I had a random individual try to personally attack me verbally, and I was like, oh, okay, interesting, but I know who I am, you know, and because I know who I am, if you're gonna use something, it's gonna cause you more harm if you try to use something to cause harm towards me. Period. So that person did not have the opportunity to continue to communicate with me because of their choice to attempt to weaponize some information they had, which was very surface information. Like they knew my age, and they knew my current romantic status. Is that the word to use with that? I guess they knew that I was. They didn't even know that I was divorced because they didn't know. They didn't get the opportunity to actually get to know me personally. They just knew my age, and they based the fact that they knew my age and the fact that I was on a dating site. I'm just gonna be transparent. I was on a dating site, and they used the fact that I was on the dating site and my age to come up with this whole scenario. And I was just like, wow, that's thank you. Like, thank you, number one, for sharing, what you internally thought, but it's probably something that others may be internally thinking. So let me approach this a different way. And then, of course, I forgot that I was supposed to be approaching this a different way. Um, Most recently, because I've been working. Working. Um, their labor of loves and um, sort of ministry at the same time, because I've decided to surrender to the divine, and it initially, seemed to be so. It initially just seemed to be like it was going to be a very relaxed experience. I was like, oh, like, okay. Like, I know I'd be, overthinking, but I just surrendered to the divine, and I just put out my intentions on a daily basis, and I just self-regulate. And me self-regulating my emotions is a part of my spiritual practice. And I visualize, and I add meditation to the recipe pot, and I can really build and create this wonderful life. Okay, I mean, that doesn't sound too complex, but it's very complex. Okay, because divine, first of all, let me break down divinity a little bit. And I like divinity better than the word God. That's just my personal preference. But whatever you decide to call the supernatural force that is keeping the earth afloat, like that force, that power, um, you call it whatever you want. You could call it God, you could call it Allah, you could call it Jehovah, you could call it whatever you want to call it. I like the word divinity because even though you cannot put together the force that is keeping the earth floating in space and not crashing into other planets, and subsequently doing the same, this cosmic powerful force, or these cosmic powerful forces, for me, they're divine. And that's one word, and it's a limited word, and of course all of that power cannot fit into that one word, but for me that's a good description, and my limited way of saying, of my limited way of describing the unlimited. Okay, there we go. So I like the word divine. So let's get back to divine, right? We're talking about forces, cosmic forces, right? And there's many of them. So I think when people say the word God, they're just trying to describe it in the simplest way that they can, right? And that's okay, that force is not like offended. Cause as humans here on the planet, that force is keeping afloat and influencing everything on the planet. It's not offended. it it hasn't took any offense, you know. It's not jealous. Those are human emotions, and those are low frequency, limited human emotions that we really don't have to participate in. But because at a point in our existence, humans were participating in that energy, of course they had to create a a, a god that was jealous. Like, it doesn't even make any sense when you think about it. Think about it, you know. But let's get back to ministry, you know, and what that means, you know. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have a church building. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have a hierarchy, you know. Ministry and divinity. Ministry, number one, is you being of service, divine service. And you may think you know what that looks like, but you have to surrender and you have to allow divinity to show you what that looks like, because everybody is unique. So everybody is not going to be of service or allow the divine to work through them in the same way, and the divine can't work through everybody in the same way. So once you're open and once you have surrendered, get ready, because it's a roller coaster ride. It's a whole roller coaster ride. Michael Beckwith, which is one of my favorite teachers and spiritual leaders, he, you know, he describes it and he talks about it a lot. And, you know, looking from a distance, he makes it look, you know, very, he makes it look easy, but I know it's not easy. And I kind of knew it wasn't easy, but I didn't know how it was going to be until I did it. And now I'm just like literally holding on. If you've ever been on a roller coaster, it's just moving and you're just like holding on and your head's just bobbling and shit. And you're just like, it's just taking spins and turns and turns and spins. And that's really what's happening with my life right now, but in a good way, in a very, very, very good way. So, and what has opened up this opportunity even more, um, is like obeying, you know. And when I say obeying, like when you surrender to the divine and you say, okay, I'm surrendering to you, divine, and then you're gonna get impulses, you're gonna get things to do, and you have a choice. You have a choice whether to say yes, you have a choice whether to say nah, I'm not doing that shit. You know what I'm saying? But with every choice is a consequence, you know? And if you're really serious about, you know, surrendering to divinity, to the force that, again, that's keeping our planet afloat, you know, the force that is, you know, allowing the planets in the cosmos not to crash into each other. You know, like there's forces that are there that's supporting us, supporting our planet, supporting our little selves. You know, we even have a bit of that cosmic energy within us. So, and we're supposed to use it responsibly. You know, we're not supposed to use it to tear people down and try to oppress people and all that other nonsense that we see that's happening publicly, here in the United States of America. But kudos to those who are at the right place at the right time and ready. And ready. I've only seen two, and I know there's one in my city. There's more than one in my city. I love my city. I really do. It's a new city, but I love it. Like I love the vibrancy of it. It has its own heartbeat. It has such a history and a culture that you can only build on it. You know what I mean? And yeah, you know, when you're building stuff, you've seen construction sites, you know, they're messy. You know, there's messy, there's debris. I don't know if you ever actually physically been on one, you know, but I physically have done security work at construction sites. And I mean, in of high risers, you know, high risers in New York City. And like certain things are working, like the elevator, you know, but they're like bringing concrete up, and when you go out and you look, it's a mess. It's messy, you know. So I say that to say, when you see a city that's having challenges, you may think, oh, that city doesn't have no this, no that. No, it's messy because it's in construction. And again, the culture and the history here and all of the great people that were cultivated here in this particular city, like it's so many. So many, so many, so many. So it's an honor for me to be here. And again, it's wonderful to see these amazing people who are in positions of government doing their thing. They're not holding their tongues. They know the parliamentary procedures and they are applying pressure to those who want to go in there and play like it's a game because it's people lives. As we see, there are people lives as we've seen with the plane crashes. Just one example. Just one example. There's people lives, and the people that care, they're going to say something and they're going to do something and they are saying something and they are doing something and I appreciate it. So that's what I have to say about that tidbit. And it all is connected. I know we subcategorize so many things. We say, oh, this belongs over here, that belongs over there. But even everything in its own position, it's still connected. It's still connected, you know? So let's get to what prompted me to even do this episode. We all have inner childs, you know, um, the playful side to us, maybe even perhaps in certain instances, the shy part of us. I feel we all have that as adults. And if you've had a healthy childhood, your inner child um, is different than somebody who had an unhealthy childhood. And my childhood was a mixture. It was healthy from a baby up until I was 10 years old. And the aspect, I did have stability at that time. I wasn't bouncing around from place to place. I was stationary. I was at Marcy Projects. Um, I had a lot of love from my great auntie who was the one responsible for my caretaking. Um, she gave me structure intellectually. Well, well, I wanted the religion. The religion actually was more intellectually than spiritually, and it taught me a whole bunch of skills, like life skills that I didn't even realize that I was being taught because they were just like, "This is what we do as part of this religion," but really, it's a business, and they operate very much like a business. And even though they use a lot of spiritual jargon and yada yada yada, and mystic is the one who formed it, so it's a whole bunch of. I mean, mysticism is intertwined in all of the religions. But this particular religion, was very strict and but very good. They have practical stuff to protect people. If I'm gonna be completely honest. Um, However, um, they also, in the protecting of people, they also kind of restrict them. They restrict them and they use fair tactics to keep people in bondage. And those aspects of that particular religion um, were not beneficial for me. Um, but as a child, it was beneficial. It just wasn't beneficial to me as an adult. But as a child, it was. It made me comfortable with not doing what everybody else was doing. It did give me a sense of community because it was a bunch of people that were doing that. And even to this day, even though they have evolved where they're not necessarily knocking on people's doors, um, when I see them, I feel a sense of gratitude. And oops, I thought I had my camera position where I could move. You caught a little shadow. That's funny. Um, Anyway, so yeah, so that was my childhood, but there were important things that were missing from my childhood. Now, in that religion in that first decade, I did interact with sisters and brothers. That's what they call the people of the religion, you know. But at home, there was only one person. It was my elderly great aunt, my grandfather's sister, you know, and she was very protective over me. And she didn't really explain to me why she was so protective, but she was very protective. She taught me things like, you know, don't ever sit in no man's lap. Don't let nobody, like, even my grandfather. My grandfather could not sit me in his lap, and I didn't know why. I just knew that's what she said, and that's what I did. You know. Now, when I left from her home, and then began to bounce around through my adolescence, um, I learned I I I I put together why she said that. Because unfortunately, once I hit a certain age and I started to develop and look like a woman, even though I was not a woman, um, men began to sexualize me, you know. And I won't say that that's where it started, because I will say that from my personal life experience, that sex was not, I mean, even though it was stigmatized and it wasn't spoken about, but it wasn't an unnatural thing. So, I was curious about, you know, my body as a young child. I was curious about my body parts, and I shared these curiosities with other young people, um, and it was an innocent curiosity, you know. But I shared this curiosity with other young people that was of the opposite sex, and so we wanted to know, like, how come you're different, and you know, the adults again were not open about that stuff at that time. We talk about the 80s, you know. They weren't like, oh, well, you know, you have this and they have that, and, you know, these are the boundaries. It was just like, it wasn't even conversation. We had to figure out shit on our own. And then when we got in trouble for exploring these things, you know, it was like, why we got in so much trouble for this, you know, and getting in trouble, getting your butt whooped for it, you know, like looking at your body parts as a child who left unsupervised for just a moment was, I don't think that was the proper remedy. It didn't stop the curiosity. If anything, it brought further curiosity, because it was like, well, why is that so bad? This, you know, whereas I feel like if the adults would have been like, you know what, okay, we should have had this discussion, but let's have it now, since this is where you are, you know, you are a girl and you have this, he's a boy, he has that. And the reason why you have that is, you know, for when you are adults, you can procreate, you know, and you also have it to eliminate, obviously, um, excess stuff out of your body, such as urine and yada yada. You know, like they could have just said that to us, you know, and then we were like, oh, okay, and then that would have been that, you know. Instead, they didn't, and so we were like seeing, like, oh, what is that, and oh, wow, that's different. And I specifically remember, you know, um, looking and saying, okay, it's different, but it looks like a puzzle. And I was somebody who loved puzzles, and they was like, it kind of do look like a puzzle, and I was like, yeah, because your thing is like that and my thing is like this. It looks like your thing could fit inside my thing. And it was like, it does look like that. And again, innocent. It was innocent. It was children. I think it was the adults' responsibility to have the conversation with us, you know, to put things into perspective, but they didn't. And so, yeah, that's what had happened. So again, I have a whole different. I don't demonize or look at sex as something that is bad. You know, I just don't. You know, because that's how I experience. Um, first. It was first innocent, and it was just exploring. And during the exploration process is where, oh, there's nerves. I didn't even know what a nerve was, but I know what a nerve felt like. I was like, oh, what did we stumble across here? Like, oh, whoa. Are you feeling what I'm feeling? And of course, my curiosity partner was like, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. We're never ever gonna stop this. Ever, ever, ever. We've hit the jackpot. And then as I got older and I learned more, I was like, we gotta stop this. This is inappropriate. It was like, fuck these motherfuckers. We gotta keep on. I was like, no, we can't. It's inappropriate. We know what it is now. We know what we're doing. We didn't know what we was doing. And we was freaking, what, I don't know, 8 or 5. I want to say we were like 5. I want to say we was like in kindergarten or something. We didn't know then, but okay. In 5th grade, we definitely know, and we gotta stop because now they have talked about this in school, and we gotta stop. We gotta stop. I hope they don't resent me for stopping it. I feel like now, there's enough maturity, but I think for a period of time they did resent me for stopping. Like, oh hell no, you know. But anyway, I didn't. That ties into a bit of why I'm talking, but again, that's two children. That's two children. That's ignorant and that's being curious, and that's different than an adult that knows that is manipulating a child. That is completely different, and those experiences I didn't necessarily have. When I say necessarily because there were adults that did manipulate me as a young person, but I wasn't an ignorant young person. So I say that to say that I had already, like I just expressed, had my own young, innocent curiosities with another young person. But now that was before. That was before I had any hips. That was before I had any, like, I literally just had the parts. But now that moving forward in my youth, where I have developed these things that look like a woman, but I'm still not a woman. Men are looking at me and men are like, hey, let me show you this or let me show you that. And it never the experience I've had sexually was never like painful or hurtful. Like they were always pleasurable. I remember the first person that offered to give me, and this was completely inappropriate. But I remember the first person who offered to give me what's the proper word? I'm looking for the proper word. I was getting some head. I was getting some. I was getting some. I would just say the improper word. The first person that offered to kiss. I'm gonna say it properly. Kiss my flower. They weren't mean about it. They wasn't aggressive about it. It was like, hey, you ever had anybody do that? And I was like, huh? No, like I didn't. Why would they do that? I was thinking like pee comes out of there. Like you wanna. That's what I was thinking in my mind. Like you wanna kiss down there? And I was like, yeah. Let me tell me how it feels. And I was like, oh my god. Oh my forget. God, what's happening? This is better than that other stuff that I had experienced. um, and I want to say that experience was after. I want to say that was experience after I had already had a child. This adult offered, and mind you, I had a child while I was a child. So you know, I mean, technically, as they would say, in some cultures, I guess 14 is not too young to procreate. Um, and it's a gray area. You know what I mean? Because if you weren't supposed to procreate, why are you able to procreate? You know what I mean? So it's a very gray area. suspect as we continue to evolve as a species, a lot of things will evolve, you know, because a lot of things, even if as I share my personal experiences, a lot of things are based off of fear and based off of control and based off of manipulation when it comes to our societal norms, you know. So I'm subscribing to the societal norm that okay, yes, somebody at a certain age is not mature enough. But then, as I'm subscribing to that societal norm, I'm also having these experiences, you know. So if as a 5 year old with another 5 year old, I was already wondering, hey, what's that? What's this? What's this? And already being curious and already, you know, having those type of experiences, then by the age now of 12, I actually have completely formed the body parts to actually actually procreate, you know, naturally. Well, why is it now that society says um, a person has to be um, they have to wait 5 years after the nature has provided this. Now you have to wait 5 years before you actually could do this um, legally. Hey, that's kind of weird, right? And that just came to me. I didn't have this was not a premeditative thought. This was a thought that literally just came naturally just now as I'm sharing. I'm like, wait a minute, you know. So again, that has been my experiences, and we're leading somewhere with this, you know. We're leading about the inner child, you know, because again, even once you do become mature, you know, I'm in my 40s now. My child is in their 20s now, you know, so those things I'm sharing with you are from long ago. They're not from recent, you know, they're from the past, but they help to form a foundation for me. And so the foundation for me, as I expressed in my youth, you know, I had my great, wonderful great aunt, but she was there by herself. So I didn't see the dynamics between a man and a woman in my home. I see how she interacted with her brother, which was my grandfather, which was very uh, he didn't live there. You know, I saw him a few times. I remember him a few times. He passed away, and that was it. You know, then I saw, of course, the dynamics outside of the home, um, inside of the religious organization, you know, and I also saw the dynamics on TV. And luckily, we had what I would consider to be some good TV back then. So now her particular shows that she liked to watch wasn't necessarily family oriented shows, but there were family oriented shows I watched, like Full House, and yeah, they were white people, so it was like even though I saw the dynamics, and then he was a single dad, you know, so it was kind of different, but still family, you know, showing the dynamics of family. And then, of course, I watched The Cosby Show, one of my favorites. And of course, watching The Cosby Show, I got to see man and woman, children. I got to see all of those dynamics, and they looked like me, you know, like they were black, you know, and it was cool, you know. So I always, I guess, romanticize what it would be like to have a dad, because my dad obviously wasn't there, neither was my mom, my birth mom. So, you know, they were both absent, but I always fantasize like, oh, what would it be? You know what I mean? To have that, you know, and I had something similar to a mother for 10 years. But being a mother now, mothers and fathers are needed for much more than just a child. Like they're also influential and beneficial for adults, you know? And it's tricky to navigate when you don't have those structures in place, especially healthy structures in place, you know. And I recognize that. I recognize that because obviously here I am still um, navigating life in my 40s, and I haven't had those structures, but I pay attention, and I'm always self analyzing, you know. So a part of me going from, I want to say, my teenage years, probably well into my 30s, you know. So we're talking about like a good 15 years. Good 15 years. You know, I didn't actively seek this, but I wanted this. I wanted to have a father figure. So even though I didn't actively seek it, I was open to that, you know. And there were men that I interacted with that, you know, gave off like they could be that, you know. They were older men. Actually, the very first one that I became like close friends with, where, you know, they just had like pretty much like just an open, it seemed to be an open heart, you know. I could talk to them about my boyfriends. I could talk to them about what was going on at work. I could talk to them about life. Like I could talk to this man about all of this stuff, and we would laugh, and we would, you know, sip Cavassier. And in my perspective, I was like maybe 18 at the time. Yeah, I was 18. I was 18 at the time. My perspective, he was in his 40s. In my perspective, I was like, this guy's cool. He's like an uncle. And that's another thing. Like no uncles neither were involved in my life on a consistent basis. You know. So again, I was missing that dynamic, and I thought I had established that dynamic with this person, right? And then all of a sudden, like just randomly, they like burst out in the middle of us having just a regular, you know, soiree chit chat. And I'm talking about my day. They're, you know, giving me advice and stuff of that sort. And they just bust out and was like, I want you. And I was so confused. I was like, what are you talking about? You want me to do what? What do you want? What do you want me to do? Who are you talking about? You want me? You want me for what? What are you talking about? And I saw them, like I saw them switch from what they were projecting, which they were projecting was this warm, open-hearted person. I saw them switch from that to almost like predatory, but I wasn't scared, you know, because this was somebody that I had established some trust with, because, you know, I had been congregating with them for a bit, you know. Like congregating probably is not the right word, because congregating is normally more than two people hanging out. But still, I had been hanging out with them for a bit. So I felt like this is somebody I could trust. And when they said that to me, I was so confused. And I was like, I need clarity, you know. They was like, okay, I want you to be mine. It's like, I want you to belong to me. And I was like, huh? Like as a girlfriend? They was like, yeah. And, you know, I'm a earn you. I'm gonna get you. And I was just like, huh? I was so confused still, you know. And I know I was tipsy. I was tipsy and confused. Like, what are you talking about, John? What are you talking about? What are you talking about, sir? We, you drunk too, sir. I don't know. You don't know what you saying. But they did know what they were saying. Not only did they know what they were saying, I think they felt like this from the get go, you know? And so they played the long game. It was my first experience having a man play the long game with me. And it didn't end good at all, because it went from that to them giving me a proposition to experience that the kissing of the flower situation, but the way they positioned it to me was, or the way they presented it to me was in a whole different way. And it was just like, yeah, you've had that experience, I know, but have you had that experience where you have reached, and they gave me a specific number, 21. Have you had that experience where you've came 21 times? So I was like, came 21 times. 21. 21. I wasn't even 21 years of age, and I was 18. I was like, I've had that experience and I know what an orgasm is, but 21 orgasms? Like one orgasm even is phenomenal. At that point in time, at 18, I had only experienced three orgasms in a sexual experience at a time, like three was the top, and I feel so bad for those who have never, who like, who are in their 40s and never, like, orgasm is part of it. That's part of it. That's the main part. I feel bad for those who have not experienced that, but okay, and that was not my experience, and that's why it's not such a big deal to me, people. That's one of the reasons why sex is not such a big deal. And now, of course, I know more. I know about energy and all of that good stuff, metaphysics. So it's like, yeah, it's not a big deal. Like, I'm sure there are aesthetics that I haven't experienced, but when it comes to the actual the meat and potatoes of sex, I've experienced that. The orgasm I've experienced. So yeah, this is what this person who had earned my trust had presented me with. Oh, I can do that for you 21 times, and I was like, yeah, right. And I was a little bit of a daredevil at 18, and I was like, this motherfucker's fronting. No, you can't. It was like, I bet you I can. Just, let me know. Whenever you want to know, let me know. And of course, I didn't have that, um, I didn't have the wisdom, to be like, okay, what do they really want? Now I got that wisdom. But at that point, I was like, psh, whatever. And I was like, all right, show me. That was the type of vibe. And they did. Because I remember counting. We counted. It was like after one, and it was all from kissing. None of it was a penetration. So I was like, wait a minute. What the, what? Holy shit. And you would think it would have clicked right then and there. Then maybe I should have somebody else do this, see how it feels. But I didn't. Like I was pretty much locked in. I was like, okay, this is the best life ever. I got my own place. I'm working. They bought me a little car, you know. Like things on the surface, life looked it really good. I had no idea that individual, and I just like didn't really. Again, I'm 18, so I'm not like looking into the whole dynamics of how they presented themselves one way to me and then how it switched. I just was like, I thought that was just a natural progression, and I didn't even question it until I was married to the person, and I was trying to get away from them because they had became abusive. So when somebody says they want you, um, you have to really dissect what they mean. Are they looking to possess you, or do they want you to love you? What do you want me for? Do you want to love me? You want to cherish me? You want to honor me? You want to respect me? Or you want me to be your property? I didn't know to ask those questions at that time, or even think about those questions at that time. But I've learned. So, yeah, and that was the only person who got close enough to, I guess, carry out whatever their intentions was for a moment, for 6 years actually, so much more than a moment, 6 years of my life. But I learned a lot in those 6 years, and it taught me to be very defensive, to be very protective over myself and obviously over my children. And being defensive and protective, and it also gave me a bit of a sixth sense. So what I missed there, I told myself I would never miss again. Like I need to know a person's intentions from the get go, and but I still was seeking that. But I didn't know if that was even possible because it was like nobody presented that to me. Of course, the guys would be nice, older guys would be nice to me, but it was never nice, like, oh, I'm gonna treat you like a niece, or oh, I see you as a daughter. It was never those warm feelings. It was always, and I've always been able to pick up on energy. It was always energetically lustful, you know, and that would make me uncomfortable, and that would push me away, you know, and it happened so many times that I just was like, oh, okay, you know, this is what's happening, you know. Um, but a girl needs that. A girl needs to have the experience of a father, I feel. You know, and of course there's many girls who grow up without ever having that experience from their biological father. Um, but somehow, you know, a lot of times they get that warmth from somebody else. And I given up on it. You know, I tried to reach out to my biological father just to get a DNA test. Like, I just want to see if I got your DNA, but it doesn't even matter at this point because I've studied metaphysics so much that it really doesn't matter. I don't need to know what he has or carries generically because I am focused on my evolution and taking care of myself and all of that good stuff. So, yeah, whatever, dude. Um, I paid for tests and everything, and like whatever. Like I feel like, don't be like Shaq Dad, because sister over here, I'm rising to the top. And when you see me up there, don't be like, oh, oh, I think possibly I fathered you 45 years ago. If he's still around, then I'll be like, oh, you do? You think you did? Oh, okay. Have a nice life. I ain't got nothing for you. I ain't got nothing for you. When you had the opportunity just to chit chat and just to see, like before we even have a discussion, let's just see. Let's just see. And you didn't even want to do that, or your insecure wife prevented that from happening. Whatever. I'm not about to fight this effort. Like, mm-mm. I got other battles. I got a son out here that I'm fighting. I wouldn't say I'm fighting because I'm not fighting him, but there's a son out here. I got my own parental responsibilities. If you don't want to do something that's practical, and you want to start throwing shade, don't throw no shade over here, bitch. Like she tried to throw shade. Like, well, you know your mother did this and your mother, bitch. We ain't talking about what my mother did. We know my mother was fucking your husband before he was your husband. We know that part. So let's do the DNA test. Oh, that's too real for you, bitch? You too real? That's too much for you? Well, fuck you. Fuck you. That's how I felt with her. Val. Val, go, girl, please. Please. Please, bye. Bye, please. Because it wasn't that serious. I didn't tell you to come out your pocket. You didn't even have to go anywhere. All you had to do was bring him to the goddamn on place and let them swap his cheek. That was free. All you had to do was show up. Maybe you had to pay the gas. That's what it is. Were you struggling that much? You need a gas money. Were you gonna try to a fucking extort me? Like, oh, she did pay for the DNA test. Maybe she could pay the gas to get us there. Maybe she could help us with our mortgage this year. I don't know, Bob. I don't. His name is not Bob. I'm being sarcastic. But, like, I don't know what her thought process was. I don't know. I don't care. You know, I just know she blocked that experience, and I could have if I wanted to fight her and all of that other stuff, and I just was like, I'm not doing it, you know. And I still can. I could go another route, but I'm just like, I'm at a point in my life where I'm not forcing shit. The stuff that I'm doing is stuff I want to do, and it wants to be done by me. Music wants to be done by me. This podcast wants to be done by me. My cafe wants to be done by me. Anything I'm building or creating wants me there. My education, it wants me to do it. I want to do it. It wants me to do it. It's there is no conflict there. You know, it may be challenges, but there's no conflict. So, in regards to that test, I wanted to take the test. She didn't want the test to be taken. Why? Because obviously it's a possibility, ma'am. If you didn't think it was no possibility, you would have been quick, hurried to prove that nope, not my husband. My husband ain't your daddy. You would have been quick, but you wasn't. She fought relentlessly to get him because he wasn't initially in love with her. I know the history. Okay. She fought relentlessly, gawking and gawking and gawking and gawking. Okay. And taking slaps upside the head. She probably still getting slapped upside the goddamn on head. Beat up and stuff by him just to say you got him. Okay, you got him. How was that abusive marriage for? I'm gonna be quiet. We ain't talk. We sorry. This is a full moon, so things are gonna leak out. So I'm discarding some shit. Okay, but anyway, back to that missing component. I've accepted. I've accepted that it was missing, and it's funny how like when you just accept things, how things show up. So I've accepted that those things were missing. I've been carrying it around in life. Life is good. I'm appreciative of it. It's challenging sometimes, but it's still good. I have all of my needs and my desires met all the freaking time. Oftentimes in ways that surprise the heck out of me. Sometimes I'd be like, what? 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 So my conversation with the divine is always like, how good it's gonna get. Show me how good. Show me how good it can get. Show me how good. Just show me. Show me how good it can get. And it always happens. It always happens. I'll be like, what? So anyway, but most recently I had an interaction with a mature guy, and I got defensive in the interaction, and um, because that was just a natural mechanism because of how the interaction went, and and I started not fighting, but it was a disagreement that it was I escalated the disagreement. And I could say that the disagreement didn't need to be escalated. But I didn't know that it didn't need to be escalated because I didn't know the person, you know. I had only interacted with them maybe once before, and yes, the first interaction was wonderful, was warm, but the second interaction was intense. So I didn't know. And then obviously from what I've shared here on my channel, from my experiences, it's natural for me to be defensive. Like I said, I interacted with somebody that I was perceiving like as an uncle figure, even though they weren't my physical uncle, but that's the energy they were giving me for quite some time. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, they was like, "I want you." That like threw me off. That made an imprint that okay, um, I have to analyze things a little deeper. I have to a person could give off a certain energy but be masking a whole different energy. So I don't know who's who, what's what. I'm a play safe, and I'm gonna be safe. And I have been safe. Since that situation. I mean, I did have some other lessons after that, with younger guys. But nonetheless, I've been safe for at least the last past decade. So this last from 31 up until 41, I've been relatively safe. Now it's still healing from trauma and things of that sort, but I know the the markers. Like I know there's patterns. Abusers have patterns. And I know what those patterns look like. And if I see it, I'm not gonna confront it. I'm going to dip to the side. I'm gonna get away. But that perception could be flawed. Could be. I don't know if it is, but it could be. But back to this interaction I had recently, where I got defensive and I had to check myself, you know. And once I checked myself, I had to correct myself. And after I corrected myself, I was like, okay, that's not enough. You know what I mean? Like, I want to touch base, you know. And I was like, I know I'm gonna have an opportunity to see this person, and it's gonna be an environment where I feel safe because it's a public environment. And so I'm going to just, give them a verbal apology, And I did that, and their response that I got was it was so warm. It was warm, it was direct, and it was welcoming, It was like, it's okay, like, you, this is how it made me feel a little bit. It was like, it's okay, little girl. You had a moment, little girl. It's all right, little girl. That's not the words they said to me. They was like, little girl, you want to talk? You could come talk to me, all right, little girl. Those are not the words they said. But that is definitely the energy I picked up. And I didn't feel bad about it because I felt safe. I was like, oh, I could talk to you? Like, you a safe person? And it was just like they are a safe person, and it brought up so many emotions. Like, every time I think about it, I want to just cry. I just want to just cry because I'm like, did God finally send me a safe person that where I can have that experience. I want to have that experience. I want to have that experience. And even if I never have that experience with my biological dad, I do want to have that experience, And I kind of feel like this is a person that I can have that experience with. And I'm just like, I want to cry. Every time I think, I'm like, I want to cry. I want to talk. I want to cry. Like, I just want to cry because I feel that energy, and I know what I'm feeling is correct, and I'm just like, damn, you know, it makes me think about other women who've never experienced that. Like, I think it's just a good experience. And not saying you can't be successful, you can't be this. Of course, you can still be successful. Of course, you can still live and lead a happy, healthy life. Of course, people are doing it, but it takes community to do it. It definitely takes community to do it. Yes, you do your own work, but it's important to have a community. And I am seeing the benefits of a community right now because I'm dealing with a loved one, and this loved one has their own particular challenges that they're overcoming, and I knew and know that I could not do it by myself. So I am like dependent on this community, but they're all there. They're all there. They all like, even if they say some shit, they might say some shit, behind the sister back, but I don't even think they say bad shit behind my back because it's a lot. It's a lot. I minimize it, um, because I rather maximize the good. I rather maximize. I had somebody chair today along with me, and that felt so good in my spirit because it's like I've been the main cheerleader, and shoot, hello, cheer leader. Who else is cheering? Nobody else is cheering. Nobody else is caring. I'm the only cheerleader over here. What the heck? Where my cheerleaders is part of a team. Where the teammates at? Where they at? So now it's hard to find teammates when you're not rooted. You going from post to post to post to post to post to post to post. I was like, shit. Army kids be complaining. Huh, huh. At least it was community at each base. Shoot. You might not stayed at the base for too long, but it was some type of community there. Fine. But anyway, in my particular life experience, and I'm not gonna stay in here too long because I gotta actually fiddle around and do things around here. Ooh, I'm picking up words for people. Um, when I start fiddling, I'll be fiddling. I got stuff to do though. Um, ooh. But I wanted to share, and I wanted to just say thank you. Just say thank you that I have the opportunity to have this experience. I'm not rushing into it. I'm very kind of like tiptoeing into it. Like, okay, I felt the warmth. Um, okay. But I know how to keep myself warm too. I appreciate the warmth. I want to relax. I want to accept this, and I know it's a good thing. Like I know, I don't even know how I know so convicted within my spirit. Like I know, like, and sometimes that's just how it is. Sometimes when there are two strong individuals that it's especially, let me put it correctly, two strong individuals who have good pure hearts, when there is a conflict, um oftentimes after that conflict, those individuals are able to really um build something solid, you know and I'm grateful. I'm just grateful for the opportunity. Grateful for my community that I have now. You all know who you are. I don't know if you or any of you listen to my podcast. Probably not. And this is a particular podcast show where I went a little old school, and you just see my voice where I am emulating radio. Y'all remember radio, right? Do they still got 107.5 WBLS? That's one of my favorite radio stations. But last time I was in an Uber and I was like, can you please turn to WBLS? They couldn't even find it. I was like, what's going on here? But it's going on here. But yeah, we're doing it like radio style, where do you just hear my voice? Where I don't have to do no damn hair and makeup to do a goddamn episode. No. You just gonna get my voice. That's how podcasting started, okay? And you gonna get episodes like that randomly. You don't get the aesthetics whenever I feel like doing aesthetics. Shoot, I don't got no hair and makeup person. I am my hair and makeup person. And I is tired, okay? I ain't doing any of that today. So, but I did wanted to share because it's a full moon. It is time to discard the past, right? And I thought this was a perfect opportunity. Yeah, I could have wrote it down on a piece of paper and threw the piece of paper away, but I thought, how is that? That's going to be of service to me. Yes, that would serve me. But how can I be of service to me and be of service to others at the same time? Oh, I could utilize my platform. I can talk transparently here on my platform, and I could inspire somebody who may be having these same or similar internal thoughts, feelings, and experiences to deal with their own shit as I'm dealing with mine. So, with that being said, I'm going to say thank you for tuning in to the Super Tea Podcast Show. There is some merch. I don't know if anybody's ever ordering any merch, but hey, order you some merch. I said I was going to order me some daggone merch so I can model it for you. I know y'all want to see how it looks on me, right? I know. I gotta remember to do that. I need to like put a post-it up or something so I remember to do that. Because I don't ever remember it until I'm talking about the merch. And then I'm like, oh, I gotta get some merch too. So I'm gonna get some merch. But I did get some merch, from one of my favorite places. And I got some merch from my son too. And it was cool because we was matching. But y'all see those, I will post those things. Probably next year. With that being said, there is just some specific, because you know the tea here. This is a specified tea. This ain't hot topics here at this Super Tea podcast show, okay? My super tea is matcha tea. It's a specific tea. You don't know about matcha? You better ask somebody. M.A.T.C.H.A. Matcha, okay? Concentrated green tea. Healthy for your mind, body, and soul, okay? Packed with antioxidants, okay? Packed with healthy stuff, okay? So, get you some merchandise that represents matcha tea, okay? I'm going to keep talking about it because it's going to pop when it pop. It won't stop. So yes, we gonna throw that out there energetically. This full moon energy, throw that out there into the universe. Yes, yes, yes. This is sharing and it's branding, baby. We multitasking, baby. I'm gonna let you know we multitasking, baby. So click the link. It's gonna be two links. Two links. Of course, you're gonna have to read. You don't gotta read. You can just go scroll to the link. It's gonna be in the description. Get you some merch. I'll be modeling some merch before this, definitely before the spring, but certainly by the spring. Okay, because I don't know how long it takes to get the stuff. Um, I don't even know if we can still get stuff. I don't know what's happening. Hopefully they're printing it over here. Because I might have to get my shit printed somewhere else. I might have to get it printed over here. I gotta look into that stuff, but I won't be looking into it today. What I do know is that the links work and that the merch is available. Okay. So I don't know whether they're being printed here or not. If they're not being printed here, then there might be a delay in how long it takes to get your stuff because, got all that other stuff going on. But with that being said, click the link anyway. It's like, it's not, it's reasonable. It's reasonable. I just got merch, so I know my merch is reasonable. So get you some merch and take some pictures, comment. People have popped in, popped out. I don't know what they were looking for. They probably looking to see my face, but nope. This podcast episode was just vocals. You may have seen some movements, but yeah, sorry and not sorry. Just wish. Nope, I don't have no wishes, but just grateful. Just grateful for the platform itself and to be able to share. So thank you for tuning in to the Super T podcast show. Check out some other episodes. I do show my face on most of my episodes.